You've paid for Windows 11. You didn't choose to. It just came with your laptop. And somewhere on that machine, buried inside a settings menu you've probably never opened, is a toggle that sends your behavioral data to Microsoft. Not hypothetically, it's on by default, and most people have no idea it exists. There's another operating system. It's free. It runs faster on older hardware, it doesn't collect your data by default, and it powers the majority of the world's servers, supercomputers, and cloud infrastructure. And yet, despite all of that, most people are still paying, directly or indirectly, for Windows. The reason why has almost nothing to do with performance. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, the comparison Microsoft has spent 20 years hoping you'd never make will be sitting right in front of you. Let's establish the baseline. October 2021, Microsoft launches Windows 11. New design, new taskbar, new performance promises. But the minimum hardware requirements locked out hundreds of millions of older, perfectly functional computers. TPM 2.0, secure boot, and a compatible processor. If your machine didn't meet those specs, Microsoft told you to buy a new one. Canonical, the company behind Ubuntu, took the opposite approach. Ubuntu 24.04 LTS runs comfortably on machines that are a decade old. It receives security updates through April 2029. It is free to download, free to install, and free to keep forever. That's not a minor footnote, that is a fundamentally different answer to the question of who technology is for. What's worth understanding is that those Windows 11 hardware requirements weren't purely about security or performance. Analysts at firms including Canalys pointed out at the time that the TPM 2.0 requirement had a convenient side effect. It accelerated PC replacement cycles at a moment when Microsoft's hardware partners needed a sales boost. Whether that was the intent or simply a happy coincidence depends on how charitable you feel toward Redmond. What isn't in dispute is the outcome. Millions of users were told their computers were obsolete, not because they stopped working, but because Microsoft redrew the line. Now let's do what Microsoft hopes you won't. Compare these two systems directly, category by category with the real data. Start with performance. On identical mid-range hardware, Ubuntu consistently boots faster than Windows 11. Independent benchmarks published by Fornix in 2023, one of the most respected Linux benchmarking outlets in the industry, showed Ubuntu 22.04 outperforming Windows 11 in CPU throughput, compile times, and memory bandwidth across multiple processor generations. The gap isn't always massive, but it is consistent. And on older hardware, the difference becomes significant. Ubuntu on a 2014 ThinkPad feels responsive. Windows 11 on that same machine, if it runs at all, does not. RAM usage at idle tells its own story. A fresh Windows 11 install at idle consumes roughly 3.5 to 4.5 gigabytes of RAM, depending on background services. Ubuntu with a GNOME. Desktop sits between 1.2 and 1.8 gigabytes at idle. That difference matters enormously on machines with 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is still the most common configuration in the global installed base. More free RAM means more headroom for the things you actually want to do. The disk footprint follows the same pattern. A clean Windows 11 installation occupies approximately 27 gigabytes of storage before you install a single application. Ubuntu 24.04 uses roughly 10 gigabytes. On budget laptops with 128 gigabyte drives, still common in the sub-$400 market, that 17 gigabyte difference is not trivial. It's the difference between a machine that feels cramped from day one and one that has room to breathe. Microsoft's operating system has grown heavier with every release. Ubuntu has stayed lean by design and on real-world hardware that discipline shows. Now move to privacy. And this is where the comparison becomes genuinely uncomfortable for Microsoft. Windows 11 ships with telemetry enabled by default. It collects data on app usage, browsing patterns, voice input, and diagnostic behavior. Microsoft says it's to improve the product. That's technically true. It's also true that Microsoft's commercial ecosystem benefits from understanding how users interact with Windows. Even on the Pro tier, certain telemetry settings are locked and cannot be disabled. Full stop. Ubuntu's approach is the structural opposite. During installation, you receive a clear opt-in prompt asking whether you'd like to share anonymous system data to help improve Ubuntu. You can say no. That answer is respected completely. The data collected when you opt in is anonymized and publicly documented. There are no hidden dials. There is no locked baseline. What makes this especially pointed is that Microsoft has doubled down rather than pulled back. In 2024, the company introduced Recall, a feature that takes continuous screenshots of your screen and stores them locally for AI-powered search. Security researchers immediately flagged it as a significant vulnerability. Microsoft paused the rollout under pressure, but the intent behind the feature revealed something important about the direction the company is heading. More data capture, not less, is the roadmap. Ubuntu is moving in the opposite direction entirely. Here's the part nobody talks about. Windows 11. Home doesn't just collect data, it serves ads. Inside the Start menu, inside the Settings app. In November 2023, Windows 11 began showing promotional banners inside Settings, pushing OneDrive and Microsoft 365 subscriptions. These are advertisements inside an operating system that the consumer already paid for. Ubuntu has never displayed a single ad anywhere in the interface, not once in 20 years. Now let's talk software and ecosystem, because this is where Ubuntu's real friction lives and where Microsoft's advantage is most legitimate. The Microsoft Office suite, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, does not have a native Linux version. For people whose workflows depend on those specific applications, that is a real barrier. Certain creative tools like Adobe Photoshop and Premiere Pro are Windows and Mac OS only. Some enterprise software, some peripheral drivers, some industry-specific tools, they assume Windows, and that assumption has real consequences. But the gap is narrower than it was, and it's closing. Chrome, Firefox, Spotify, Slack, Visual Studio Code, Zoom, Discord, VLC, and Figma via browser, all of these run natively on Ubuntu today. LibreOffice handles the vast majority of Office file compatibility. And for developers specifically, Ubuntu is not a compromise. It's the preference. The Stack Overflow Developer Survey in 2023 showed that macOS and Linux combined now represent the majority of operating systems used by professional developers. Windows is no longer the default for the people who build software for a living. Gaming deserves its own honest assessment. 2 years ago, recommending Ubuntu to a gamer would have felt irresponsible. That has changed. Valve's Proton compatibility layer, built specifically to run Windows games on Linux, has matured to the point where the Steam Deck, a Linux device, can run thousands of Windows titles with no configuration required. ProtonDB.com, a community-driven compatibility database, shows that a large percentage of the top Steam games are now rated Gold or Platinum on Linux, meaning they run with no significant issues. There are still exceptions. Certain anti-cheat systems block Linux entirely. Some titles require workarounds. But the narrative that Linux gaming is broken is no longer accurate, and Microsoft knows it. Security and update behavior round out the technical comparison. Windows 11 pushes mandatory updates that have, on multiple documented occasions, caused system instability or broken driver compatibility. The Windows 11 2022 update caused widespread audio and Bluetooth failures that Microsoft took weeks to patch. Ubuntu's update model is more modular. Security patches apply in the background with minimal disruption, and you are never forced to restart mid-workflow. Major version upgrades are opt-in. You control the timeline. Now here's where the story gets urgent. Microsoft has confirmed that Windows 10 reaches end of support in October 2025. No more security patches, no more updates. And there are roughly 240 million PCs currently running Windows 10 that do not qualify for Windows 11 due to hardware requirements. Microsoft's official answer is to buy a new computer. 240 million functional machines. Microsoft wants them in a landfill. Every single one of those machines can run Ubuntu 24.04 LTS today, right now, without a hardware upgrade, with security support running through 2029, for free. That is not a theoretical benefit. It is a direct, immediate, practical alternative for hundreds of millions of people who are about to be abandoned by the company whose software they've been paying for. The market has already started to notice. Steam's hardware survey, one of the most honest, large-scale snapshots of real user behavior, showed Linux's share more than doubling between January 2022 and late 2024. The Linux Foundation's 2023 annual report documented continued enterprise growth across cloud, AI infrastructure, and embedded systems. The majority of infrastructure running the AI tools you use every day runs on Linux. The servers behind the products Microsoft itself sells on Azure run overwhelmingly on Linux. The company charges you for Windows on your desktop while quietly running Linux everywhere it actually matters at scale. This is the comparison Microsoft does not want you to make. Not because Ubuntu is perfect. It isn't. But because the moment you sit down with both systems, with honest eyes, the idea that Windows is the obvious default becomes very difficult to defend. Microsoft's consumer dominance has never been primarily about technical superiority. It has been about retail distribution, pre-installation agreements with hardware manufacturers, and the compounding inertia of a user base that never got the chance to choose. When you buy a laptop at Best Buy, Windows is already there. You didn't choose it. It was chosen for you, and because it's already there, most people never look for anything else. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how distribution lock-in works in practice. And recognizing it is the first step toward making an actual choice. So here is what you can do right now, with no irreversible commitment required. First, run the Microsoft PC Health Check tool if you're on Windows 10. Get clarity on whether your hardware qualifies for Windows 11 before October 2025. If it doesn't, you're on a clock and you need a plan. Second, download Ubuntu 24.04 LTS from ubuntu.com and create a bootable USB drive using a free tool called Balena Etcher. Boot into the live environment, Ubuntu running directly from the USB with no installation, and spend 2 or 3 hours inside it. Browse, open files, watch a video, and use the terminal if you're comfortable there. The barrier to trying it is genuinely zero, and the experience will tell you more than any YouTube video can. Third, go to protondb.com and search your Steam library. Game by game, you'll find real community reports on Linux compatibility. The results will likely surprise you, especially if you've been assuming Linux gaming is still where it was in 2019. Fourth, audit your software dependencies before making any decision. Make a list of the 5 applications you use most. Check whether they run natively on Ubuntu or have a viable alternative. For most people, that list will be shorter than expected. For some, there will be a genuine blocker. Knowing which category you're in is valuable information regardless of what you decide. Fifth, if you have an old machine sitting in a closet, one that Windows 10 runs slowly on, or that doesn't qualify for Windows 11, install Ubuntu on it this weekend. Not as your main machine, just as an experiment. Give it 30 days of real use and form your own opinion based on experience rather than assumption. We are at a genuine inflection point. The end of Windows 10 support, the maturity of Linux gaming, the growing developer preference for open source environments, these things are converging right now in 2025 in a way that has never happened before. For the first time in decades, the operating system question is actually open. It is not settled by default, and that is historically significant whether Microsoft acknowledges it or not. What makes this moment different from previous Linux resurgences is institutional momentum. Schools in Europe are migrating to Ubuntu at the district level. The German state of Schleswig-Holstein made headlines in 2024 for committing to replace Windows across 30,000 government computers with Linux. These are not hobbyists making a philosophical statement. These are administrators making a fiscal and strategic calculation, and they are choosing open source. When governments start moving, the conversation has shifted fundamentally. The broader software industry is also restructuring around platforms that don't extract rent from every layer of the stack. Cloud-native development, containerization, AI tooling, the entire direction of modern computing runs on Linux underneath. The consumer desktop is the last major frontier where Microsoft's grip remains strong, and even that is loosening in real time. You have more agency in this decision than any hardware manufacturer or software company wants you to feel. The best thing you can do with that agency is use it deliberately with your own hands on your own machine and see what you find. If this gave you something to think about, drop a comment below. Are you on Windows 10? Is your hardware blocked from Windows 11? Have you ever actually spent time with Ubuntu? I want to know where you stand. If you want more videos like this, honest, technical, no punches pulled, subscribe. I put real work into these, and I think you'll find them worth your time.